the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Arizona Cardinals. This is your Week 13, 2024 prediction and preview video. Hit subscribe if you're new. Also, hit the like button. Let's start off with the home team, the Minnesota Vikings, one of the best teams in the NFL up to this season. As I record this video, they are 9-2. And when I look at the Minnesota Vikings, they had a very good week last week against the Chicago Bears. They won this game 30-27. Sam Darnold on the day, 2 passing touchdowns, 330 passing yards, 0 interceptions. He got sacked 3 times. The key to victory were the keys to victory in this matchup for the Minnesota Vikings: offensive line protection, and do not get one-dimensional. The offensive line last week did not have their best day, but it's a big reason. Christian was out for this game. Obviously, he's going to miss the rest of the season. He got injured against the Los Angeles Rams 4 weeks ago, and that's their franchise left tackle. But they made a trade to bring in Big Cam Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cam Robinson is a solid left tackle, but he's no Christian. And they missed him last week because he was dealing with an injury. So Sam Darnold dealt with pressure on majority of his dropbacks. And even when he dealt with those pressures, he did not have a turnover in the day. That's the first key to victory, is for Sam Darnold to take care of the football. The second is for this offensive line to go out there and dominate the line of scrimmage. Try to get the run game going. Aaron Jones did have a fumble last week, but he had 106 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. You may look at the Minnesota Vikings and you may think, hey, they love to throw the football around the field. And they do. Sam Darnold has some of the best numbers in the NFL in terms of having passing touchdowns. He has the 4th most passing touchdowns in the NFL with 21. But at the same time, they don't have a problem running the football with Aaron Jones. He averaged 5 yards a carry last week. This is a man that is 8th in rushing this season, as I record this video, with 798 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Get that run game going so you can work into play action. Last week, Justin Jefferson only had 2 catches for 27 yards, but he was smiling on the sideline because he was getting double teamed majority of the game. It opened up everything else for Jordan Addison and for TJ Hockenson. Jordan Addison, over the last few weeks, he's starting to look like that number 1 wide receiver, like how he looked last year when Justin Jefferson went down with an injury. Jordan Addison, 8 catches, 162 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. TJ Hockenson, this was his first major game this season because he was recovering from a torn ACL injury from last season. 7 catches, 114 receiving yards. Don't force the issue here. And that's one thing with Sam Darnold. When he's not locked in on Justin Jefferson and he's able to feed everyone else, that's when his offense is looking like one of the best offenses in the NFL, and they are. Continue to run the football, work off of play action. If the offensive line could take care of Sam Darnold inside that pocket, I think you'll be in a very good situation. I think the Minnesota Vikings have the talent to go out there and potentially blow out the Arizona Cardinals, but don't get too cocky here. The Arizona Cardinals, they're a scrappy team, and they have a very good quarterback in their own right with Kyler Murray and an awesome head coach in Jonathan Gannon. And he is not an offensive-minded coach. He's a defensive-minded coach. So it's going to be very interesting to see the 2 head coaches go against each other. We all know that Kevin O'Connell calls offensive plays, and Jonathan Gannon has a huge influence on the defensive plays that the Arizona Cardinals like to run. This is going to be a very good chess match. When I look at the defense for the Minnesota Vikings, one of the best defenses in the NFL. Against the passing defense, they're at the bottom of the league. But at the same time, the rushing defense is one of the best, and it is the best in the NFL. The reason why their secondary gives up a lot of big plays, they blitz a lot. But in the red zone, they have one of the best red zone defenses. You have to go out there and put a lot of pressure on Kyler Murray. Now, Kyler Murray against the blitz this season and against pressure, he's been number 1 in the NFL. And that's crazy to think about. But when you look at the athleticism that the Minnesota Vikings have on the defensive side of the ball, you pretty much, you like this matchup. They sacked Caleb Williams 3 times last week. You have Jonathan Grenard, who is a very good defensive lineman. You got him from the Houston Texans in free agency. Jonathan Grenard on the season, he has 9 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Pat Jones is questionable for this game. He has 7 sacks on the season, 1 forced fumble. Andrew Van Ginkel is one of the best linebackers in the NFL. 9 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 pick sixes. 1 against the New York Giants, 1 also against the New York Jets. When I look at this situation for the Minnesota Vikings, you can blitz in this matchup, and I expect for Brian Flores to do so. But at the same time, Kyler Murray has the wherewithal to go out there, get outside the pocket, buy himself enough time, and make some crazy throws. And you also have to be accountable for his legs. Put up a quarterback spy. Kyler Murray is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the NFL. And if you allow him to get outside the pocket, that's when everything breaks loose for Kyler Murray. And that's when havoc starts, and that's when Kyler Murray is really at his best. The offensive line with the Arizona Cardinals, they've been up and down this season, but Paris Johnson Jr. is one of the best tackles in the NFL this year. You may want to blitz off his side, but he can hold his own. You want to get pressure on the interior and force Kyler Murray to go to the right side, because more than likely that's where your best pass rushers are going to come from, including Andrew Van Ginkel and also with Jonathan Grenard. But you have to be careful here. Kyler Murray has done a very good job of just going straight to the back from his traditional 5-step drop to buy himself some more time, especially in shotgun situations. And when he's under center, and he can get rid of the football at a quick rate. I look at the secondary with the Minnesota Vikings. You have Cameron Bynum at the free safety position, who's been very good all season long. 3 interceptions, 9 pass deflections. And I look at Byron Murphy. They're going to have the work cut out for them because you have the guard Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride. But it starts with stopping that run game. James Conner is a very good running back, and he's a very good power back. The Minnesota Vikings have kept the run game in check. But you have to do it in this matchup, because if you don't, you're going to be in for some trouble, because Kyler Murray is one of the best quarterbacks, not only against pressure, but one of the best quarterbacks with play action this year. The Minnesota Vikings cannot be cocky in this game, come out prepared, and try to put a hurting on the defense and on the offense with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. Last week was a very weird week for the Arizona Cardinals because this team was rocking and rolling. And I still think they're one of the low-key teams in the NFC. They lost last week to the Seattle Seahawks 6-16. For context here, it was a pick 6 in this game by Kyler Murray. So the defense with the Arizona Cardinals, they played very well against a high-powered offense of the Seattle Seahawks. Kyler Murray on the day was 24 of 37, 285 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, and obviously he had the 1 pick 6, but he got sacked 5 times. Kyler Murray, besides that 1 interception, was looking very good. The offensive line collapsed on him, and I'm worried about that in this matchup. But you have to get the run game going to help out the offensive line. And I'm going to tell you why. James Conner has been a very good running back throughout this entire season. But the last 2 games have been questionable. Last week, he averaged 1 yard a carry. He had 7 attempts for 8 yards. Trey Benson, 4 carries, 18 rushing yards. Amari, 1 carry, 14 rushing yards. Kyler Murray, 2 attempts, 9 rushing yards. You have to get the run game going, and they gave up on the run game. Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, he's going to have his hands cut out for him because he's going against Brian Flores and that defense. The Minnesota Vikings love to blitz. Across the middle of the field, you could take shots there, and Kyler Murray has done a very good job of doing that by targeting Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, and Michael Wilson. This is an Arizona Cardinals offense that loves to test out the linebackers. I would not test out Andrew Van Ginkel. Like I mentioned before, the man has 2 interceptions for 2 pick 6s on the season. But across the middle of the field, you could take advantage of those linebackers in those situations. The run game's going to have to be a consistent here. You can't give up on the run game. James Conner, you have to get him going and stick with him. And the same with Trey Benson and Amari. Kyler Murray this year has used his legs, but it's been a sneaky way. I would do some QB keepers in this matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. Catch them off guard and let Kyler Murray go out there and use his legs. Look at what he did against the Los Angeles Chargers over a month ago on Monday night. He had a huge play that went for a rushing touchdown for 50-plus yards. That is what Kyler Murray can do. Let him be dynamic outside the pocket. And Kyler Murray cannot panic against the blitz in this matchup. Last week, he panicked against pressure, and he ran himself into sacks all around. But it starts the offensive line. Because if you allow Brian Flores to not worry about the run and he pins his ears back and he can get to the quarterback, that's when you're in trouble. You want to neutralize the blitz, slow down the pressure, and make Kyler Murray as comfortable inside the pocket. And do not throw too many screens on the right side of the field. But you have to get Trey McBride involved, one of the better receiving tight ends in the NFL the last 2 years. He had 12 catches for 133 receiving yards last week. Michael Wilson, 2 catches, 54 receiving yards. Marvin Harrison Jr., 3 catches, 47 receiving yards. And use Marvin Harrison more in this matchup across the middle of the field on crossing patterns and taking deep shots down the field. But watch out for Cameron Bynum and also watch out for Harrison Smith. If Harrison Smith is closer to the line of scrimmage, more than likely, the Minnesota Vikings are sending pressure and are going to have Harrison Smith on Trey McBride. Little situations like that you have to take note of. It doesn't happen every single time, but more than likely, that is what the Minnesota Vikings defense is capable of doing when they have Harrison Smith close to the line of scrimmage or when he's 5 to 10 yards out. Look at what happened in the Los Angeles Rams game many weeks ago. I look at the defense for the Arizona Cardinals. You have to put pressure on Sam Darnold. They're struggling right now not to get pressure on the opposing quarterback. B.J. Ojulari has missed his entire season. I really hate that for the Arizona Cardinals because he was supposed to come in year number 2 and be that star pass rusher that they were looking for. Darius Robinson, he is questionable for this game. Darius Robinson has been dealing with a calf injury. This is a man that they selected in the first round. He can be a very good pass rusher, but besides those guys possibly playing, and I'm talking about Darius Robinson here, you're going to need someone like Zaven Collins to go back there and put a lot of pressure on Sam Darnold, make him uncomfortable, and do not do what the Chicago Bears did last week. They were so scared of Justin Jefferson, they double covered him the entire game. You may call me crazy, but you have to get creative with your secondary. You're going against Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hockenson. You're going to have a hell of a day to stop all those guys. But you can go out there and neutralize this offense if you put enough pressure on Sam Darnold and force him to make mistakes. Look at what the Jacksonville Jaguars did. They forced Sam Darnold to throw 3 interceptions in that matchup, and it starts with pressure. And I look at a guy like Jonathan Gannon. He's an elite defensive mind. Let's remember this. When this man was a defensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles, he helped them make the Super Bowl that year. And we look at the defense this season. He has given Justin Herbert a lot of problems. He's given Geno Smith problems and also Brock Purdy. So if it's a defensive-minded coach that can go out there and slow down the offense of the Minnesota Vikings, it would be Jonathan Gannon and the Arizona Cardinals front. But it's going to start that pressure up front, and the linebackers have to be key in this matchup. I look at a guy like Sean Murphy-Bunting. He hasn't been the best cornerback this season. In certain games, he's been a liability. He has to step up in this matchup. I would not put him on Justin Jefferson. And if you do, you could possibly have roll coverage on Justin Jefferson, because Sean Murphy-Bunting on him in one-on-one situations and man situation, that scares the hell out of me. But I look at a guy like Garrett Williams. I think you could put him on Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison, even though he does play the nickel. And you also have Sterling Thomas, the fifth. I think that I think that he can go out there and he can give you a lot of problems. And you have Budda Baker at the free safety position. With that being said, the Arizona Cardinals have to go out there and find a way to be aggressive and slow down this passing attack and this rushing attack of the Minnesota Vikings. This is a complete offense that you're going against, and similar to the Arizona Cardinals. With that being said, I do have the Minnesota Vikings winning this game, and I believe the Minnesota Vikings will come out on top 27-17. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this game, the Minnesota Vikings or the Arizona Cardinals? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.